Well, g'day everyone and welcome back to another adventure with Tripper 2 Australia. On this week's episode, Ali and I leave the beautiful campsite that we found at Ginty's Jump Up just north of Kings Canyon and start making our way back towards Alice Springs via the Mareenie Loop. That's right, this week we're doing the alleged Caravan Killer. 100 kilometres of gravel, corrugated roads, which people have told us will tear our caravan to pieces. But we really want to go out and give this unique drive a go because the views are something to die for, particularly when we drive along the sides of the West MacDonnell Ranges. Unfortunately, our trip isn't without incident, so go and get yourself a cold drink, get your feet up for the next 20 minutes or so. Come and join Ali and I for the adventure.
Hi, I'm Steve.
And I'm Alison.
We decided a couple of years ago that we'd work hard and save all of our money and start living life on our own terms.
So we bought a caravan and hit the road on a trip for two all around Australia.
So why not come and join us every week for our adventures? Well, good morning everyone. Today's the day we're going to take on the alleged Caravan Killer. We're going to go and do the Mareenie Loop. Look, as I think I've said to you before, bumpy roads, just let your tyre pressures down, take it slow, everybody survives. I'm just going down on the caravan. We're going to go to 25 all around on the tyres. On the car, I'll do 30 in the back wheels and I'll do 25s on the fronts. We should be perfectly fine for the day. But anyway, we'll give you an update if anything goes to crap a little bit later on. We left Ginty's. What a magic spot. We met so many people up there, great people, fellow travellers. Everybody had exactly the same words to say about the campsite, how much they loved it and what a spectacular view it was. Remember, it's only about 25 to 30 k's north of Kings Canyon and it is an absolutely wonderful place to base yourself before you head further on, either in towards Alice or going out towards Uluru. Anyway, for us, as we said a little bit earlier today, we're going to do the Mareenie Loop. We're just on the tarred section at the top of Ginty's at the moment and we'll work our way down the hill. I've dispatched Ali into the caravan because we once again forgot to put the caravan on, so she's just putting it on now and then we'll get mobile. So good, everything's running along nice and smoothly. Just to give you a bit of a look at the corrugations, here we go. So they're wide apart. We're sitting down, as we said before, we've dropped all our tyre pressures and we're sitting on about 60 to 70 k an hour. Here we seem to be flying along all right. You can pick a spot, it's a little bit easier. A lot of people drive up here in the flat drain where I pulled over to, but it's not the best place to drive. You do get a lot of shit wash into there and you know, you don't want to put something through a tyre. But yeah, it's not too bad so far. Well, we're about 30 to 40 k's in on the Mareenie Loop at the moment. I've got to say, what do you reckon now? No better, no worse than the road to Bamaga?
No, exactly. It's got its moments where it's good and it's not so good. Definitely let your tyre pressure down, that's for sure. That's the key to success, tyre pressure and speed. Well, we've dropped in a couple of places down to about 40 or 30 to 40 k an hour just because it just made the ride a little bit more comfortable. But yeah, just done a quick welfare check on the van. Everything's sitting in there perfectly. Nothing's come undone. Really, really happy. So we're going to continue on to Hermansburg. It's been 50, 60 k's on this road now. Here's a warning sign, I tell you, on a gravel road. You're going to love it up here in the NT. More views of the beautiful MacDonnell Ranges.
Yeah, really starting to see the shape now. We're still 250 k's out of Alice. We've got about another 120 k's to go for today's drive. But yeah, it's a great little drive. And now we've got a little bit more speed up. you sort of skip across the tops of the corrugations and it just makes for a more comfortable ride, doesn't it?
It does, yes.
We actually drove a little bit slower before because we had a group of people in front of us who were driving quite slow. They hadn't let their tyres down and they were really feeling the bumpiness of the ride. But I didn't want to put him in a dust cloud either, so he pulled over for a break and we pulled past and now it's all smooth sailing. It's pretty good. To come towards the end of the Mareenie Loop now. We've done about 95 kilometres or so. This last, what, 50 k's now? It's been pretty nice, hasn't it?
It's been very good.
The road's not too bad. It's a few lumps and bumps, but it's exactly what you expect on a dirt road. But the view of the West Max as you drive along is absolutely spectacular. It actually takes your mind off the corrugations a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think the corrugations this side, so the Alice Spring side isn't so bad.
Yeah.
I think more corrugations on the Kings Canyon side.
Yeah, maybe the first 40 kilometres or so was a little corrugated, but it's nothing worse than we've ever driven on before, was it?
No.
Yeah.
No, and it wasn't for big periods of times. It's like any dirt road you go on, there's good bits, there's not so good bits, and in between bits. But nothing lasts for too long in terms of the roughness.
No, it doesn't. It's going through a little bit. But we're going to continue to make our way down. Our plan tonight, we're going to go and look at a camp on the Fink River. We'll see if we can get down there, and if we can, we'll probably stay there tonight. But if not, we found another gravel pit a little bit closer to Alice, which we'll go on to. But we are going to go into Hermansburg. We'll have a bit of lunch there, and it's an historic town, so we're going to have a bit of a look around while we're there as well. That should be quite interesting. Yes. Anyway, let's get into Hermansburg and have a bit of lunch out.
Sounds good.
Well, we don't want to jinx ourselves and call it too early, but we can see a bitumen road in front of us. We think we might have just completed the Mareenie Loop. I reckon this is it, Al.
I think so too.
There's a little spot up the end of the road. It's going to pull over. Have a quick check on the map to make sure it's bitumen from here on in, and if it is, I'll air up. I think I called it a little bit too early on the bitumen road. I've had a quick look at the satellite view on Google Maps, and I think we go back to dirt around the corner up here, maybe in about half a kilometre's time. So we'll go up a little bit further just to confirm it, but if it's all bitumised, then we'll just air up. But if not, we'll stay aired down until we hit the end of the actual dirt roads. Here we go.
Must just be.
Jump off. Alright, well, it pays to make sure that you got your Google Maps set into satellite view. We had a quick look on the satellite before we aired up. You can see that within a kilometre we're going to come off the bitumen straight back onto the dirt. So we're on the dirt road now. We'll stay on 25 all round until we get onto the actual bitumen, which I don't think we're going to get for a little bit longer out.
I don't think so either, and it's a bit rougher this time.
It is, the roads, it's a real hard clay type base. It's not too bad, but it's not corrugated anymore, it's just pothole.
Yes.
But anyway, we'll get through this, and at some point we'll find a place to air up and we'll get to have our lunch.
That would be good.
Alright.
We've hit the Sill Road, so we're going to air back up. I'm just going to come back in and turn off the caravan and have a look at what's happened inside. Usually everything is okay. Our shoes have moved, but that's not uncommon. Turn that off. That's a bit better. Oh, the doors moved a bit. Dear, I have to have a look at that. But other than that, it's pretty good. Everything's stayed as is, which is excellent news. But yeah, before we left the jump up, the overnight stay at the jump up, Steve aired down, and we came out of the campsite. We had forgot to turn on the caravan, so we stopped and turned on the caravan, and it's worked a treat. There's no dust at all. I have noticed there's a little, I think it's a little nut, and I can see just up here something's come off it, so I think we've had something rattled loose, but that's not too bad considering. But we'll get around and have a further look, because corrugation's really good at rattling loose all the screws in a caravan. Doesn't matter how well I think a caravan is made, they all seem to suffer the same fate. So it's always good once you've finished or you've come off the corrugations to have a look at those. Just make sure everything is still screwed in, nothing's rattled loose too much.
All right, well, that's the end of the Mareenie loop for us. We're just airing back up now. I'll put it back up to road pressures. I had a quick look on the map. Looks like we've got a sealed road all the way now, or for the vast majority of the way. But because I was down to 25 in the van, 30 in the backs of the car, and 25 in the front of the car, those pressures are way too low for these sorts of roads. So we'll come back up onto the 4 ones. If I need to air down again as we get down towards the Fink River, then I will, but if not, we'll just continue on. I think all in all, it wasn't a bad trip, was it, Al?
No, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it wasn't what everybody said that it was, but I understand everybody has different ideas of what rough roads are and things like that, and I'm sure in our future we're going to find some horrendously rough roads.
Yes.
But as far as the Mareenie loop goes, look, I think you could do that. Just let your tyre pressures down, travel along at a good, safe speed, just be aware of what's going on around you. And yeah.
I think also for us, we've come through early July, and so the road condition was pretty good. We didn't come through where there'd been any rain, and I don't think there'd been a rainfall for a while. Yeah. But we can see the effects of water on the road at some point. So we had good road conditions, but definitely I think if it's wet, it will affect that journey. Yeah,
and I'll probably just say, just to end that off, I would give it a second thought if I was coming up here in an on-road caravan. In fact, I wouldn't even bring an on-road caravan up here.
Yeah, it gets a bit rough at times.
It
and even
does.
As you would have seen, a few screws have rattled loose in the van, but that's typical of corrugations. It'll do that. So Steve will get in and make sure everything's tightened up again. And yeah, the bathroom door seems to have extended itself on the elastic band, but we'll see if we can secure it even further when we get back onto some corros. That's just something to be mindful of.
Yeah. All right. Don't see how Steve's tightening up all the screws. Anyway.
Handy man,
Let's
Steve.
get going. Good angle, Al.
Okay, so we found the little hole just here. That's our problem. And
yeah. I'll just change the tyres when we get to Hermansburg, and then I'll patch that one. We should be all good.
And you'll be able to see on our dashboard when Steve turns the car back on. So you can see that bottom right one's gone down to 236. When he first pumped it up, it was around the 300s, so it's been slowly decreasing, and we've been watching it, and we stopped on the side of the road. We're lucky enough to find the hole, and we will be able to fix that when we get to our destination. For now, you're just going to put in some air, and we'll manage ourselves to the next destination.
We're only going to go 15 k's up the road, so yeah, all good. All right, it's got a little hole in it. Where do we find it out? Let's see if we can find it. I should mark it while we got it out.
I was going to say, we should have marked it before.
No, it would have come for a drop. We'll find it. Anyway, I'll get a squirty bottle of water on it later, and I'll be able to find where it's bubbling out from. I'll put some more air in it. So that'll be easy. It's only a small hole in amongst the tread here. We'll find it, and it'll be easy to fix. I'll just use the puncher kit that we got. It's the first time we've ever had to use it, but it's certainly going to come in handy. All right, so we'll get rid of this. We'll put the new one on. Alright, so if you're an avid viewer of the channel, you know that we talk our wheel nuts every week. I check them, or if we come off a gravel road. I'm going to do it again today, obviously, because I've changed the tyre. 128 for us, newton meters, but just check your manufacturer's guide, it'll tell you inside what you should do. So just wait for the double click and you're on. Well, as you'd be well and truly aware by now, we punctured one of our tyres yesterday after we got off the Mareenie, so I'm not counting it as damage on the Mareenie because we're well and truly clear of it by the time that we'd got the flat tyre. But nevertheless, it's a repairable one, and thankfully before we started our big lap, one of the essential items that we bought was a puncture repair kit for our car tyres. Now, we bought the ARB one. You could buy whatever brand that you'd like, but you definitely need to have one in amongst your gear just in case you encounter the same problem that we did, because essentially we only carry one spare, and as soon as it's punctured, we've got no spare. We bought ours at the Brisbane Camping and Caravan Show because ARB had some fantastic discounts going at the time. I think we picked this thing up for like about 20 or 30 bucks, but it's going to be worth its weight in gold as soon as I've repaired the tyre. So here it is. This is the repair kit. Inside of it comes all of the gear that you need to repair your tyre, and what I really like is the instructions come with pictures and words, and that makes it really easy to do. The other thing I've noticed when you go into an ARB shop, there's generally an old tyre there near the puncture repair kits, and the staff members there will teach you how to do it so that you can practice it before you even come out on the road. So that's a great thing. Come a bit closer. Oh, not that close, Cross.
Exactly.
No one knows that.
No, exactly.
Righto, final test was put some soapy water in this cup because I'm washing up detergent. We'll put it over the top and just make sure we've got no bubbling coming out.
Sorry.
That all looks pretty good. So, as I said, we'll leave it off. Yeah, I can't see any signs of bubbling in there, can you, Al?
No.
No. Alright. Alright, so we're going to leave it. See what happens. Well, there's our first go at repairing a tyre, Al. What do we learn from that?
I think we need to make the hole bigger, and I think rough up the whole area so it's big enough to put in the plug.
Yeah, the instructions are fantastic, and we've watched a couple of YouTube videos on this in the past, and everybody seems to struggle with it a bit. It is a lot harder than what some people would make it look, or what it looks like sometimes when you watch on the TV, but once you get it, it's pretty easy. But the key to success is right at the start, when you've located your hole, get the tool in there and really get into the hole and rough it up and open it up so you can get the rubber plug into the tyre, and then once you've done that, it's a pretty easy process from there. So what we've done is we've just reinflated the tyre now to 40 psi. We're going to leave it off the car.
Yep.
We'll just check the air pressure in about 12 hours time, just make sure it hasn't lost anything, and if it hasn't, I'll throw it back in as a spare. But if it continues to lose pressure, I'm just going to go into Alice and replace the tyre, I think. All right, well, good morning. We come back to Alice Springs with big plans, didn't we, Al?
We did.
But unfortunately, all of those plans have been washed away because there's a curfew in town at the moment, and the police are asking that if you only go into town on like business. So we've been in, we've done some shopping. You don't want to see us walking around Woolies like a couple of fools. So we thought we'd try and do a couple of things that are out of town, just give you a little bit of a look at Alice. But it's quite disappointing because we really wanted to get into town and have a look at a lot of things. But yeah, because there's some things that are going on in town at the moment, the coppers just don't want you in there. So we can deal with it.
And they're also busy with NAIDOC week, and I think they've had their show as well, so they're just trying to settle the community back down.
Yeah.
So we decided,
from what we've
add to it.
What we've read in the news, it's been a little bit of the Wild West out here the last couple of days. So
sadly, yes.
We're going to take a drive out to Simpsons Gap this morning. It's in the West MacDonnell Ranges. It should be beautiful. We're going to check it out. One of the things that we don't have the opportunity to do on this trip is the West MacDonnells, but we've already started to plan a return into this region so we can do those, maybe in the next 18 months or so. But anyway, let's head out to Simpsons Gap and check it out. get out to Simpsons Gap, there's from the car park, there's just a walking trail that you take. This is the walking trail here. This one was actually constructed by some inmates in the, I think it was the Alice Springs prison back in 1990. But it's a great little track to walk along, gives you a great view of the gap as you get a little bit closer. You used to be able to swim out here once, I believe, but they've stopped swimming out here. I don't know for what reason, but you can't do that anymore. But you can certainly come out, have a look at the beauty of the West MacDonnell Ranges. Yeah, absolutely outstanding. Well, the first thing you'll notice when you walk into Simpsons Gorge is it immediately gets cooler, and it is absolutely enormous. I cannot describe to you how big this is. Check this out. There's a beautiful little creek that runs through the centre, and as I said before, you can't swim here. These rock walls that are above me here must be 80 to 90 metres high. And then it just rolls back up there and out into the river. But you can see here, this has been the scene of a massive rock slide at some point in the past, but what a cool thing to see. What do you think of Simpsons Gap, Al?
Oh, amazing. I didn't expect this at all.
No, it's a bit hard to describe, isn't it?
I know, because I can only imagine what all the other gorges and walks are like. I'm really keen to come back and do them all.
Oh, for sure. Simpsons Gorge, what do you reckon?
Amazing. I'm stunned.
Yeah.
I have no words, really.
It's very, very hard to describe. This is one of those places you just need to come out and see for yourself. We saw a couple of rock wallabies walking around or hopping around.
Yes.
And just a beautiful, tranquil place. It's very, very quiet down here. You can hear the odd bird. But even with the people down here, it doesn't carry sound or anything. It's just a very, very peaceful place to come and sit.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely outstanding. So if you're in Alice Springs, make sure you come out to Simpsons Gap. You're going to love it.
It's an easy walk too.
Oh, very easy walk.
Well, that's it for this week's episode. Ali and I really hope that you enjoyed it. Some of you may be wondering why we never stopped in at Hermansburg. We actually did. We were quite excited to visit the township because it is the birthplace of Albert Namatjira. But on the day that we arrived, we did not feel safe. So we continued on down the road. But hopefully at some point in the future, we'll be able to visit the township because we're really looking forward to doing that. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you give us a like before you leave. If you've got any questions about today's episode, hit us up in the comments section. And of course, as usual, if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, please consider doing so. Come and join us next week when we encounter the biggest disappointment of our big lap so far. But until then, you guys have yourselves a great week. We'll see you at the brand new time of 7 o'clock next Saturday morning. Can't wait to see you. We'll see you then.